Hey guys, Tom here again from SynthHacker.com. If you guys have been subscribed for a while, you might remember last year I did a vocal chop video for Ableton Live. I was cleaning up some old videos recently and I noticed that a couple of the most upvoted comments on that video were requests for a tutorial on the pad sound. Because the patch itself was so simple, I never really considered making a tutorial on it, and to be completely honest, the chords written by MADEON and Porter are so well written, it's almost hard to make them sound bad. But after seeing these comments, I decided to revisit the sound, add and tweak a few things, and make a video on it. So here's what I ended up with. So to start with, let's set up oscillator A using a simple saw wave. Next, we're going to add 7 very detuned voices of unison. Generally, I find 7 voices to be the sweet spot for these types of sounds. Although it's fine to add more, I've come to realize that more voices doesn't necessarily result in a better sound. Too many voices can often lead to the overall sound picture becoming a little bit messy, as it becomes harder to perceive the individual voices themselves. We're also going to add a second additional oscillator by going into Serum's menu and selecting copy osc A to B. For the huge pad sound we're after, it's important that the sound covers a large area of the frequency spectrum, so we're also going to pitch this up an octave. Later on in the video, we're actually going to use a macro control to slowly bring this oscillator in. So for now, we're just going to reduce the level to 0, so we're only hearing oscillator A. Now typically a lot of pad sounds have quite a slow attack, but because our chord progression contains some chords spaced closer together, we need to hear the sound right away. So we're going to keep things very simple with a short attack, bringing down the sustain level a bit and keeping the release time short to avoid clashing notes. We now have a harmonically rich starting point, but to get the smooth pad-like character we're after, we're going to shape the frequency content of our sound with a low-pass 24 dB filter. We're going to keep the cutoff frequency quite low, but set up a second envelope to modulate it with a soft attack, again lowering the sustain and adding a small amount of release. As you can hear, this adds a nice amount of subtle movement to the start of the sound, and actually at this point we have most of what makes up the sound we're after. Typically though, with these types of sounds, what really makes them interesting in a track is how the sound evolves over time, especially in breakdown sections of tracks, for example. As I hinted at earlier in the video, to achieve this we're going to use a macro control to automate some of the parameters in our synth, starting with the amplitude of our second oscillator. As you can hear right now, we can't really hear oscillator B, so what we're also going to do is use the same macro control to add some higher noise to the sound, as well as using the macro to slowly open the filter cutoff. One way in which to use macros that shouldn't be overlooked is in automating effects. So let's try use the same macro to increase the mix amount of both the hyper and dimension effect to slowly thicken and widen the sound. Another effect I found worked well when automated was some ping pong delay, again using the macro to dial this in, increasing both the feedback and mix amount. The last effect that I added, but with no automation, was just a little bit of chorus to really thicken the sound even further. With our sound now finished, let's listen to the final result while slowly automating all of the parameters we set to macro 1. So there we have it, a huge sounding pad that's not too complicated to make. Now I know the sound is quite simple compared to some of my other tutorials, but sometimes it's nice to go back to basics. As always, if you guys want to grab the preset itself, I'm going to include both the original and updated patch with all my other tutorial presets included in every pack over at synthhacker.com. Thanks in advance if you decide to check that out. It's a great way for you guys to support me and the channel while also getting yourself some quality sounds in the process. If you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified when I release future videos, and let me know down below what type of sound design are you struggling with most right now. So that's all from me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.